I'm Chris, and you're watching ComicsVerse. We're here with DC's Greg Pak, here to talk about Action Comics and Batman Superman. All right, my first question is you've been writing Action Comics since the beginning of the New 52 relaunch.
Actually, I came in with Action with issue 25, so about halfway
25, okay. So you've had the chance to redefine this generation Superman. How does that feel? What is it like being able to tell your story of Superman?
It's been amazing. I mean, I was not there at the very beginning. That was Grant Morrison who first started the Action book. And what I loved about the way they set it up is they started with a much younger Superman. So it's the same guy you've always loved. It's Clark Kent, a guy who's always going to try to do the right thing, always going to stick up for the underdog, but he's young and he's raw and he may or may not make the right decisions every single time. He's in the process of becoming that hero. And that's just a fantastic place to start. And it's a huge gift as a writer to be able to come in to write a character this iconic at that sort of early stage of becoming who he is.
Jumping off of that, has there been any pressure or ways that you've tried to keep it to the old Superman, or are you kind of trying to do your own thing, going off your own inspirations, your own incarnations as Superman throughout your lifetime of watching and reading about the character?
Well, during my lifetime, I've seen a million different versions of Superman. You know what I mean? So there is no one version of Superman that is the one pure and true Superman. These characters have been around for 75 years because they've always shifted, and there've always been ways that different creators have told different kinds of stories using these characters. I mean, the characters have a core essence to them that we tend to return to again and again. But they're broad enough and deep enough that they can sustain all kinds of different stories. So I've loved all these different incarnations of Superman. I mean, I love the Christopher Reeve Superman from that original movie. I love the sort of the tool of the government Superman from Frank Miller's Dark Knight books. I love the Superman I'm writing right now, this young, scrappy Superman. I love the original Superman who was who could not who wasn't flying, he was leaping, and who was sticking up for the underdog every time. All of these different incarnations of the character are phenomenal, and so I feel lucky enough to be able to play with all of these different archetypes, but tell our own story of this young Superman becoming the hero he's going to be.
Okay. Now, currently, Superman's been depowered. His identity's been revealed. Moving forward, how does that affect you writing a character and trying to tell your story of the current, you want to call it, arc in Superman for DC as a whole?
Yeah. Well, we try to get our characters in as much trouble as we can. You know what I mean? Because that gives us drama, that gives us fun stuff to work with, and it tests the characters. It makes you want to find out how the heck they're going to deal with these unbelievably difficult situations. So the storyline has been a blast to work on as a writer, and it's been consistent with the with the themes that we started with from the beginning. Again, it's a guy trying to figure out how to do the right thing in a complex world, in a world with a lot of gray, and now if if Superman is at his full strength, he can deal with a lot of problems and deal with a lot of conflicts just by kind of putting himself in the middle of things and shutting down the fight. You know what I mean? Because that's what he can do. If he doesn't have those kinds of abilities, if he can't just shut things down and make everybody play nice, the world becomes even more difficult to deal with. You know what I mean? Like figuring out how to manage what may be irreconcilable conflicts or villains who are beyond redemption. You know what I mean? Like Superman's very good at turning the other cheek and finding a way to draw people in, you know what I mean? But if you don't have the power that gives you the strength to control people's reactions or protect everybody else from people's reactions, that kind of drawing people in, that sort of strategy may be really, really dangerous. So our guys having to figure out all kinds of new ways of dealing with it, and it's been a blast.
So going off of that too, how much do you talk to the other writers in DC when you have Superman, Wonder Woman stories going on? You have your own Superman, Batman stories going on. You have Justice League. You have all these different arcs and stories going on. How much did that affect your actual Action comic storyline? Or do you kind of just focus on what you're doing and maybe pay attention to the other things going on in the universe? Or do you have long discussions about what should we do going forward with the character?
It's the latter. We do have very long discussions about what we were going to do. In the Superman in the Superman family, there are 4 books. There's Action Comics and Batman Superman. So I'm co-writing Action Comics with Aaron Kuder. I'm writing Batman Superman. And then there's Superman Wonder Woman and Superman. Superman Wonder Woman is written by Pete Tomasi, and Superman is written by Gene Yang. So Gene, Pete, Aaron, and I, and our editors talk all the time. You know, I mean, we literally talk on the phone. We meet together in person when we can. We're constantly emailing each other because we're telling a big story that where all these things are connected. You know, it's a tremendous experience because these are all great storytellers, and I mean, it's a huge challenge when you have that many books dealing with the same character, figuring out how you can tell this bigger storyline with all of these books. But it's a great challenge.
Now, writing Batman Superman, you're writing essentially world's finest, or the New 52's world finest. Now, with Scott Snyder, you have Batman no longer as Bruce Wayne. How much did you guys talk about incorporating that into your own Superman Batman? Because obviously, you no longer have Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne. You now have Superman, and you have Commissioner Gordon as Batman.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny because at the same time, all the Superman writers were concocting this crazy idea to expose Superman's identity and strip him of a lot of his powers. The Batman team was coming up with their idea to, like, you know, get Bruce out of the suit, put Gordon into the suit. So when we came together, it was like, holy cow, we've changed. You know, both teams have sort of changed things up in a big way. And then at that point, we just started talking to figure out how it would all work together. And it's great, you know what I mean? Because it actually pushes our story forward in the right kind of way. Because you know, a big part of Superman losing a lot of his powers is that he can't protect his friends the same way, and it changes his relationship with a lot of his with everybody in his cast. And the fact that he can't rely on Batman the same way, can't rely on Bruce, he has to figure out how to deal with this new guy, throws everything off kilter even more. You know what I mean? So it has amped up the stakes.
What's been your favorite issue to write so far, whether Batman, Superman, or Action Comics?
I've got a few. Action Comics 25 was a dream, and that whole first Action Comics arc that I did with Aaron Kuder. Aaron and I had never worked together before, but we got together and we both just like clicked, and we felt it. And that first storyline where Superman reunites with his childhood friend Lana Lang, and they go on this adventure finding out what's going on with these subterraneans who are coming up out of the earth. It was just a great big adventure with this great emotional story with this, you know, this young hero and his childhood friend, and his childhood friend remembers him as just this kid on the farm, and so she is, who is this god? You know what I mean? And she's, you know, and that sort of conflict and partnership between the two of them was just so much fun to work on. So that whole story arc is one of them. Aaron and I did a one-off story where Superman goes to Bizarro World, which was Action Comics number 40, which was just a total lark. It's a total done-in-one. Just a crazy little story, and it actually literally may be the best reviewed thing I've ever done. So check it out, Action Comics 40. But yeah, those are two things that jump to mind.
Going off that God complex, how much does that play into writing Superman now, especially with him depowered? How much is playing into still being the Boy Scout, but also and the God, but no longer being the God and the Boy Scout at the same time?
Well, I mean that's key to depowering him, right? I mean, the whole reason to depower him is to see how he handles it. You know, I mean, I think the fun dynamic has been that and we've explored this a lot in Batman Superman, is this notion that he still feels the responsibility that he felt as fully powered Superman, and he frankly has that responsibility because all of these massive problems are coming right at him. You know, but he doesn't have the power to handle it, you know, with the snap of his fingers the way he used to. So it's a big test to see whether this guy without these massive powers can handle the responsibilities that usually come to a guy with those massive powers. And it's not just whether he can handle it, it's whether other people can trust him to handle it, and whether even by trying to handle it, he's putting everybody else in danger. I mean, those are big questions that he has to grapple with.
All right, so you have pre-New 52 Superman being revealed that he is still on New 52 Earth as a character point. Is that anything we can look forward to in Action Comics? Is maybe the two of them meeting up or affecting your own storyline?
Keep on reading.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Last question. Any advice for young writers or young artists trying to break into the comic industry? What is your best advice to give them moving forward or getting their work seen?
All right. Number one, buy my book. I wrote a book called Make Comics Like the Pros with Fred Van Lente, and it's awesome. Clearly I'm biased, but I think it actually put together everything we know about making comics, and particularly about collaborating, because comics is a collaborative art form, and it's incredibly practical about step-by-step how we do it. So Make Comics Like the Pros, check it out. In a nutshell, my biggest advice would be focus on doing something small. You know what I mean? Like everybody has a giant epic storyline, that they want to do. Your first project probably should not be your 200-page graphic novel. Your first project should be do a 2-page story, do a 4-page story, do something you can actually finish and learn from, and get that out in the world. Build your relationships with artists. Do an 8-page story. Do a Kickstarter and print up a 20-page book. You know what I mean? But do small steps, bit by bit, so that you can learn. Because frankly, and I came up through film, and then I moved sideways into comics. But I made 1 million short films, and you will never see most of them because they're terrible, and I don't want you to see them. We have a lot of bad stuff to get out of our system. You know what I mean? That's just the nature of it. Nobody is a genius. I don't believe in genius. I believe in work and inspiration. You know what I mean? And that's the only way we get better is just by doing it. And so doing a bunch of small things that help you build those skills and build that experience, and just build step by step. Eventually, you'll come out with something that you know is good, and then that's the thing that you're gonna take to cons. You're finally gonna get a booth at a con and go to a con and start giving that really good thing that you've finally done to finding editors, and then you can start to build a professional career that way. But yeah, take it step by step, and it takes 10 years. That's the other sad thing. It's going to take a lot of time. The inspiring thing about that, the negative thing about that is it's going to take 10 years. The inspiring thing about that, it's taken everybody 10 years. Everybody who is working in comics today has been working forever. You know what I mean? They've put in that work, and the inspiring thing about that is that it's doable. You know what I mean? Like, we're all terrible when we start. You know what I mean? But by learning and by working and learning, we all get better.
All right. Anything you want to plug or announce before we go?
I think that's it. Buy all my stuff. My website is gregpak.com, GREGPAK.com. You can buy stuff there. You can also check me out on Twitter, which is also Greg Pak, GREGPAK.
All right, I'm Chris. I'm signing out for ComicsVerse. Check us out online, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, basically any type of social media, you'll find us. That's it.
Thank you.